This is it, the final mock draft before the festivities begin for the NFL draft in earnest. This is what could happen tonight as we get ready for Locked On NFL Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. This is Ryan Tracy here from Dallas, Texas, where we're going to be doing our huge Locked On stream. You can find it on our Locked On NFL channel, all over social media, as well as in the show notes here. I want to get you set up because this is Locked On, your team every day for free on every platform that we can find, and maybe some that you've never even heard of. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, home of the Athletic Matrix, home of the draft guide. You can still get that if you need it. There's a lot going on there. If you do decide to grab that, make sure that you use the code, this one, Locked On at rogueapc.com. That's where you want to get that deal. Today, we're going to get into this as the final kind of walkthrough. Crocker is getting ready for the broadcast tonight, so I'm going to run through our final mock as we went through it with a couple of twists as we're hearing a couple of things here the morning of the draft. We start with Ike Ekwonu, the tackle, going to Jacksonville with the first pick. The second pick comes back with Travon Walker to the Detroit Lions, the edge from Georgia. Houston stays with Aiden Hutchinson, the edge from Michigan. That one's up for debate, and I know Croc is questioning whether we want to do that. We ended up putting him there as well because at the end of the day, we do feel that he has the value that you can get because of his movement skills, because of his motor. I don't think he's going to fall that far. Kayvon Thibodeaux to the New York Jets was a long debate. We ended up leaving him there as well, the edge from Oregon. And we finished the top five with Evan Neal, the offensive tackle from Alabama. Very similar to what we've done the last few weeks as we've kind of tweaked it. A lot of questions. We didn't decide to move things out based on rumor. We wanted to make sure that we're not overreacting to smoke and that kind of thing because there's a lot of it floating in the air these days. So we went kind of with the notion that that's the way that it's going to go. Then we get into the second five, cross, as we're hearing that the Panthers have to really kind of buckle down and make sure they get something out of it. The risk factor in taking a quarterback here, even though we understand that they like Malik Willis quite a bit and they like Kenny Pickett nearly as much, we kind of went with the risk that it's a little bit too far to go. So we stayed steady. We took who we thought was the athletic tackle that can help them in their current state in Charles Cross from Mississippi State, put him in that slot, plug him in, and let him go and feel good about doing it. That's what it came down to. Then we come back with Jermaine Johnson going to the New York Giants as the edge rusher at pick 7. That is something you've seen before that I really like, and I think that it may be above the grade that I have for him, but the fit certainly works out. And if we see this rush on edges at the very top, it is something that is well within the realm of possibility. We come back with Garrett Wilson, another weapon to put in Atlanta. The Falcons take him out of Ohio State. Then Sauce Gardner ends up with the Seahawks. The length that we know that they've liked classically, the corner from Cincinnati, a guy that has a lot going for him statistically, athletically, everything to make that transition to the NFL, and we feel pretty good about that. And then came the big question. Jameson Williams, wide receiver from Alabama, to the New York Jets. Now, I stomped on this one because I wanted to make sure we put Jameson here because I do understand that there are a number of teams trying to get to this pick in order to make this selection. So it does feel like there's a lot of momentum behind the trade-up scenarios as we specifically look at the Green Bay Packers as well as the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of discussions going on up through the night and into this morning, as I understand that 10th pick is one that they're looking to make some changes at. That will be a highlight tonight on the broadcast and during the actual draft. It could be a game changer for all three of any of these franchises. The one that loses out on a trade up, the one who does get it done because it allows them to make the selection that clearly they covet in order to get up and get that wide receiver that they think can make an impact on the roster. And clearly it will help the New York Jets in getting out of 10 after already had third, maybe even into the 4th round, depending on what the package is for that trade up. That doesn't mean that a deal will get done, but we understand that the conversations are going on in a multitude of ways that really makes it feel like that's the expectation as of early this morning, so that we can try to get something done in terms of all of those teams trying to reach their targets. I do cover the Kansas City Chiefs, and while they may be trying to do that, I'm not sure if they're willing to give up all that will be required, although they were in heavy discussions about trading Tyreek Hill with the Jets before. Didn't work out that way, but the conversation was there, and it may have even laid the groundwork for something like this as well. So we will have to stay tuned for that. I want you guys to stay tuned because it's almost Mother's Day, and the best way to help out your wife, mother, grandmother, whoever you're looking to buy for, is to get her something special and unforgettable, really, from BlueNile.com. And it is Mother's Day gifting at its best. It's on that lockdown here. You've got to get going. And if you want something that she'll treasure that you can give her from fine jewelry, it's BlueNile.com all the way. And our listeners right now are getting between $50 and $500 off. It's a podcast exclusive, and it's only good through Mother's Day. So you got to check that out now. Use the code Locked On. That's Locked On. Plus, every order is insured. It ships free. It arrives in discreet packaging, so you don't give away the surprise. That's my biggest issue. And you can keep it from there, shop stress-free, and make that surprise to go with what is an incredible gift, something that she'll treasure forever. Go over to BlueNile.com today and use that code Locked On. Now we come back in the second tier of the draft in pick 11, and we get Kyle Hamilton going to the Washington football team, Washington Commanders, hard to say still, from Notre Dame. This was, I think, a fit that a lot of discussion Croc and I had back and forth about. Is this something that they would actually do? And we do feel like in the end, the value is there for them in trying to get that franchise turned around. Another team that is looking to trade around, as we understand, is the Minnesota Vikings. We don't have anything concrete, so we left them there. We put Derek Stingley in their clubhouse to help them out. The corner from LSU tested well and feels like he is bouncing back a little bit from what was an earlier degraded value for a lot of teams. Then we come back, Trent McDuffie, the corner from Washington, goes to the Houston Texans, another option for trading out. A pick there at 13 that seems to be on the chopping block as well. We'll see if anybody trades up into that spot to get ahead of the Baltimore Ravens, who are all over the place, but we gave them Zion Johnson to help what they want to do offensively, the interior offensive lineman. I think he's truly a guard from Boston College. Then we come back with Drake London to the Philadelphia Eagles, helping out Hurts, giving him a big, broad range, big target radius guy that can help him in a lot of ways. And then we come back as we get into the second piece with Malik Willis going to the New Orleans Saints. Now, Ross might have a problem with this. You can check out Locked On Saints to get his reaction as well. This is a pick that I think would allow them to move forward in a different direction. Yes, they have options on the table. They have guys that have been in the system even. That doesn't mean that they need to stay there. They're going to try to get something done, and they're going to make sure that they can do that right now, today, with a guy that gives them options both with their legs and with the throwing ability. That is a big one. We come back, and we give Jordan Davis to the Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers. The D lineman from Georgia, big man, can help them against what was their Achilles heel last season in being the run game. A guy that takes up the space, does what he needs to do, and gets it done. He is, in a way, ready to go for this particular defense that I think really needs the help, and that can spark some help for the rest of it, not just the secondary, but as well as Joey Bosa. A lot that can be done there. We come back with the New Orleans Saints back on the clock and give them Chris Olave, somebody to go with Malik Willis that can get loose, can help him be a target, and really take their passing game up to the next level. He can work with whoever's at quarterback. It doesn't have to be Willis, but I think what we've seen is a little bit of a slide for Olave in terms of the justification versus the other wide receivers. This is certainly a position that could change, and this is a team also that could be interested in moving around, packaging those two picks to go up higher. The way that this fell, they end up with both the passer and the pass catcher that can immediately step in and help them. The question will be, is that enough? And is waiting this far down going to be their game? I think it ends up being that way. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to package everything up and get up to where they want to go given the other moves that are rumored to be going on, we're going to see how it all works out here on draft night itself. And then we finish with Trevor Penning, the tackle from Northern Iowa, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a guy with a nasty streak that kind of fits what we've seen them do in the past there in Pittsburgh. That fit should be good. It should help Najee Harris in particular, I want to say. And I think that it will set the groundwork for what they'll be able to do in the next draft and the next draft. Unfortunately, the Steelers, I don't think, have the ammunition to move up and take the quarterback that they want. I don't think that it's going to get to him. So we elected to go outside of that. Now, that group of 10 is certainly interesting, and there could be a waterfall effect if anything does happen in terms of trades. This is kind of where you would feel it more than if you were just going to take your bet, put your money on this guy's going to that place, boom, 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 done deal. If anything happens in the top 10, it trickles down, and I think it will be most felt right here before we get into the back half of the first round, where I think there's a lot more value and a lot more consistency in terms of where the evaluations are. Now, if they were going to make that bet and I was going to go with them, I'd do it at Bet Online. You can check that out, the #1 source for all of your betting and stats and sports needs, everything from pods, from information, from individual stats that help you make smart decisions with where you put your money down. For all the latest sports developments, league news, reviews, it's all over there, whether it's NHL playoffs, whether it's baseball, whatever you're looking for, or these props on the NFL draft. There's a lot to be had. All you have to do is head over there to their website and check it out from any mobile device. It's super easy to navigate. Get those trends in action so that you can put your money on the line at Bet Online, where the game starts. Now we come back and we finish up, and this is where value really starts to sink in. I think these grades are a little bit more defined, and again, would be affected by the trade-ups that we could see today. There's also, I think, a little bit of urgency at the back end about this is where last-minute trades really sink in. There could be some options for some of these teams to move up as well. We hear interest about the Cardinals. Obviously, this is where the Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs would be looking to move up from. So these selections are really fluid when we come down to it. We started with Kenyon Green, the interior offensive lineman from Texas A&M, going to the New England Patriots, locking that in and get them set. Then the Packers are on the board. And the way that this has fallen right now, they don't really have the options at wide receiver that they're looking for, which may be their trade target that they're trying to get up for. So what we did is give them Boye Mafe, a guy who's used to playing in the Colt, been up in Minnesota, the edge up there that I think that they like, and they like the explosiveness. There's the age factor as well. But in the end, as this has fallen out and they haven't been able to move out, we thought that was a good fit. We come back with Andrew Booth Jr., despite the injuries and the fact that he hasn't worked out in this offseason. It's been difficult, but the Clemson corner goes to the Arizona Cardinals, gives them some length, some aggressiveness, a lot of physicality there. And I think that will help them too. Not exactly what we've seen from the Cardinals in years past, but that does come along. Then Lewis Cine, the safety from Georgia, to the Dallas Cowboys. This just makes a whole lot of sense in terms of mentality, in terms of bringing the swagger back to the Dallas defense. A lot that goes with the hand-in-hand, the X's and O's on the field. There is the X factor, and I think Cine's been climbing lately. We've seen him and Hamilton come closer to each other based on both physical testing and the demeanor in which they play. We thought this was a good fit as well. We come back, Kaiir Elam, the corner from Florida, we feel can play man, get physical, can play off in the zone when he needs to. A good fit for the Buffalo Bills, who want to solidify their secondary and try to avoid those last-second, 13-second collapses that we saw at the end of last season. Could put them over the top in terms of being able to defend enough to take the next step as an organization. Then we came back, and this was the switcheroo here for the Tennessee Titans. We think they're a dark horse option to take a quarterback. The age of Ryan Tannehill, who is sneakily, I think, 34 as the season begins, that creeps up on you. And I think that they're looking a little more urgently at the quarterback spot than we've gone and assumed to this point in the draft cycle. Tonight, we may find out that it's that much of a priority. We gave him Desmond Ridder, the quarterback from Cincinnati, someone with the mental capacity, the processing skill, a little bit of accuracy issue, obviously, but somebody that I think could fit in Vrabel's system and deliver the ball much like we've seen Tannehill. So maybe that fit carries over. We're thinking that that could happen as well. And we come back with the Tampa Bay Bucks taking Treylon Burks, the wide receiver / tailback / whatever you want to call him, Debo's second uncle, with the wide receiver spot from Arkansas. A fit for Tom Brady to get another weapon that can do multiple things. That's what it comes down to, is not just a single way to attack a defense. And I think that opens things up for Tom Brady in his return. And obviously, I think with the coaching staff in Tampa Bay, they'll be able to take advantage of that, open some things up, vary what they're giving the defenses to work with. And I think that having a toolsy guy that can fit in multiple ways is something that they'd really covet at this point. Treylon Burks makes sense there. Now, as we talked about the Green Bay Packers, they're next on the board here at 28. And Croc was very adamant, got to get them a receiver, somebody who isn't necessarily on the radar this high. We went with Alec Pierce because he really likes the fit and the ability of Pierce in the offense with Aaron Rodgers. The wide receiver from Cincinnati goes to the Green Bay Packers because in this scenario, we have not been able to secure a trade up, and they did pick at their picks, as did the Kansas City Chiefs. Gave them Dax Hill to fill the role that Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, has left void at this point. A lot of nickel corner snaps as well as safety snaps. And somebody who's versatile, can play man as well. In terms of the safeties that plug into a nickel corner spot, Dax Hill is the best man cover of the safeties that we feel can put in there and get the job done. I like that fit personally. We come back with Devontae Wyatt, who's had a slide, do some off-field things. Don't know if this is still too high for him to go, but we do feel that athletically he is the fit and he has the value here at 30 for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we finish it out, and we're stubbornly giving Tyler Linderbaum to the Cincinnati Bengals in an effort on our part to help Joe Burrow out. We want to solidify and pick him up. There is rumor that this may not happen, that Linderbaum could be set for a slide. I actually have him stacked on my board in the second round. You can get that at NFL33.com if you care to go see it. It's downloadable. You can track through the draft with it. Feel free to subscribe if you like. That's my site for the offseason draft work. And then we rounded it out with leaving the Detroit Lions in 32. I do think this is a prime spot for a trade out. I think it will happen because the pick here is Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pittsburgh, and there are other teams that are going to want to get in on that business. Could it be somebody like the Seahawks, who we gave Ahmad Gardner in their earlier pick, and with them at 40 and 41, they could come up to 32, go grab a quarterback here. It will depend on who's available and if they don't secure another trade, but one way or the other, we feel pretty confident that somebody's coming into this area for a quarterback. We left it with Detroit, knowing that this is the heavy asterisk, that somebody could come into that spot to take whatever quarterback is left of the top four, maybe even the top five, if somebody's really stretching for something that they like on the field. That's where we ended today. This is the final pre-draft mock. As we kind of see some scenarios laid out in front of us, we wanted to get this done for you. Hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you would like, sub and hit the bell on YouTube, as well as subscribe on the audio platforms, we would really, really appreciate it. And please check out the Locked On NFL channel here on YouTube, where you can watch our live broadcast from Dallas, Texas, with all of our crew, me, Crocker, Eric Bukowski, all kinds of our local hosts coming in and helping us out through this broadcast pick by pick as we go through the NFL draft. I'm very excited for it. I hope that you are too. Thanks for watching today. We'll check you out tomorrow with a recap of the first round.